There are desires we never say out loud, urges that crawl in the shadows of the human mind. Psychology teaches us that the things we deny are often the things that control us the most. Women, like men, carry with them an inner world full of fears, fantasies, and forbidden longings. These are not always things they choose to feel, but things that live deep inside the unconscious mind. What happens when someone desires something that society tells them they should not? Do they kill that desire, or does it grow stronger in the dark? Freud believed repression feeds desire like fire feeds on oxygen. Jung warned that what we bury becomes our shadow, and the shadow will always find a way to return. This script will take you deep into that shadow. We will explore why women sometimes want what they should not because they are broken, but because human nature is far more complicated than we dare admit. Stay with me, because the answers may disturb you, but they may also heal you. Desire has always been a dangerous flame. The more someone is told not to touch it, the more that flame calls their hand. In psychology, this is not random. It is a deep part of human nature. What is forbidden becomes magnetic. It carries weight because it is hidden behind the walls of rules, morality, and fear. Women are not immune to this gravity. In fact, their inner world often carries an even heavier burden, because society has always told them what is acceptable for them to feel and what must remain buried. Think of a child who is told never to open a locked box. That child may pass by the box every day, but curiosity grows stronger each time. Soon, the box is not just a box. It becomes a symbol of mystery, power, and temptation. Human desire works the same way. What cannot be touched is often wanted the most. This is not because people are foolish, but because the unconscious mind assigns value to whatever is restricted. Women who secretly want what they should not in bed are not simply chasing chaos. They are drawn to the power of the forbidden, the thrill of stepping across a line that society has painted in red. Carl Jung called this the shadow. The shadow is the side of the self that carries all the urges, needs, and emotions that a person cannot openly express. It is the dark twin of the personality, living in silence, waiting for the moment when the conscious mind loses control. For women, their shadow may hold desires that conflict with the image of purity, stability, or control that the world expects them to show. But the shadow does not die just because it is denied. It grows sharper, whispering at night, weaving fantasies in moments of weakness, sometimes pushing them toward what they consciously fear. There is also the pull of rebellion. Every human being has a need to feel free. When society, family, or culture places chains around desire, the hidden self does not forget. It pushes back. In intimate life, this resistance can appear as the hunger for things that do not match the image of a good woman. Forbidden acts feel like a way to claim independence, to taste the raw power of choosing what others say cannot be chosen. Nietzsche once wrote that what is prohibited often defines us more than what is allowed. He meant that people are shaped not by the rules they follow, but by the temptations they resist or surrender to. A woman who longs for what she should not is not simply chasing pleasure. She is chasing a piece of herself that has been locked away, hidden under centuries of silence. That desire is both dangerous and liberating, because it is a reminder that she is more than the mask she wears. This is the shadow of desire, a flame born from secrecy, silence, and the intoxicating taste of what should never be touched. Desire is never only about pleasure. It is also about power. In the hidden corners of the mind, women may crave not only what they should not, but also the fear, danger, or intensity that comes with it. This is because fear and desire are close neighbors in the human brain. When the body feels fear, the same adrenaline rush can also feed excitement. The pounding heart, the sharp breath, the trembling hands, these sensations blur the line between terror and longing. A woman who secretly wants what she should not may be chasing the very edge between power and fear. She may long to be in control, or she may long to surrender control completely. Both paths carry intensity. Both paths awaken the deepest psychological triggers. To be in control gives her the thrill of dominance. To surrender control gives her the freedom to abandon responsibility, to dissolve into an experience where nothing is her burden. Either way, the pull is not about simple pleasure. It is about touching the raw core of human instinct. Think of the ancient stories that survive in every culture: myths of gods stealing mortals, kings ruling with violence, lovers risking death for secret passion. These tales were not written by chance. They reflect the eternal connection between fear, desire, and the forbidden. Women who feel such longings are not unique. They are echoes of the same human story that has been told for thousands of years. Sigmund Freud once argued that the human psyche is ruled by two forces: Eros, the drive for life and desire, and Thanatos, the drive toward death and destruction. Sometimes these two forces meet in the same place. The longing for what should not be touched is born at that crossroads. A woman may want what feels dangerous because danger makes her feel more alive. The unknown is terrifying, but it also gives life its sharpest taste. This is why suppressed desire often finds its way into fantasy. A woman may never act on her forbidden thoughts, but in her private imagination, she can explore them without consequence. Fantasy is the stage where fear can be played with safely, where she can test the thrill of danger while still resting in the comfort of her ordinary life. Yet the more powerful the fantasy, the stronger its grip becomes, and the harder it is to keep it locked away. At its root, the desire for what should not be wanted is about touching a part of life that feels raw, uncontrollable, and primal. It is about facing fear, not running from it. Some women crave that fear because it awakens them, because it shatters the walls of safety that society builds around them. It is a reminder that beneath all rules and masks, they are still human animals with instincts, drives, and shadows. And so, desire grows where power and fear meet. It feeds on the unknown, because the unknown promises what ordinary life cannot. Desire in the mind is not the same as desire in the real world. A woman may dream of what she should not want, but that does not mean she wishes to live it. The boundary between fantasy and reality is one of the most powerful parts of dark psychology. In fantasy, the impossible becomes safe. A woman can imagine danger, power, surrender, or rebellion without facing the cost. The brain does not always separate these two worlds cleanly. The chemical rush that floods the body during imagination is often the same as when something happens in reality. This is why a dream can make the heart pound, or why a simple thought can bring goosebumps. Case studies in psychology show this clearly. Many women report fantasies that involve control, risk, or even scenarios they would never allow in real life. To an outsider, these may look shocking, even disturbing. But when asked, the same women often explain that the fantasy itself is the point, not the act. They are not longing for harm or chaos. They are longing for intensity, for the feeling of being swept away, for a moment where the ordinary walls of their lives collapse. Fantasy is the theater of the shadow. Jung believed that the unconscious mind uses dreams and imagination to act out what cannot be lived openly. In this theater, forbidden desires are not crimes. They are symbols. They represent hunger for freedom, for power, for transformation. When a woman secretly wants what she should not, it may not be about the act itself. It may be about something much deeper: the longing to feel alive, the wish to break a role, or the desire to face fear and survive it. Yet there is danger when fantasy and reality blur. Some women may test the edges of their imagination in real life, seeking partners who can reflect their inner world. If they find balance, this can be healing, giving them freedom without harm. But if they lose balance, if they seek what cannot be given safely, then fantasy can turn destructive. The shadow, when ignored for too long, does not ask politely. It forces itself into life, sometimes in ways that damage relationships, trust, or even the self. It is important to understand that fantasy does not make someone broken. It makes them human. Everyone carries hidden scripts inside their mind, some bright, some dark. The key is not to deny them, but to understand what they mean. A forbidden fantasy may not be about the act at all. It may be about the emotion behind it, about wanting to feel desired, or powerful, or free from judgment. Once this is seen clearly, a woman can hold her fantasies without shame, knowing they are a mirror of her inner world rather than a sentence written in stone. Fantasy gives the shadow a stage. But whether that stage stays in the mind or steps into reality depends on how the person faces it. When something is hidden for too long, it does not disappear. It waits. Suppression is like pressing a heavy lid on boiling water. The more force you use, the more pressure builds underneath. In psychology, this is one of the most dangerous mistakes people make. They believe that by denying a desire, they kill it. But as Freud explained, repression only feeds the unconscious. What is denied in daylight returns at night, sharper and more demanding than before. For women, suppression often begins early. From childhood, they are told what is acceptable, what is shameful, and what must never be spoken. Desire, curiosity, and the need for freedom are covered with silence. But silence does not heal. It cuts the self into pieces. The outer self becomes a mask of obedience, while the inner self becomes a storm of secret urges. This division creates suffering, because the person no longer feels whole. She becomes two people, the one the world sees, and the one the shadow hides. Jung believed that whatever we refuse to face becomes our shadow, and the shadow does not simply vanish. It finds ways to break through. Suppression may lead to sudden outbursts of behavior that seem out of character. A woman who has always lived by the rules may one day act in ways that shock even herself. This is not weakness. It is the shadow demanding recognition after years of silence. Suppression can also turn inward. Desires that cannot be expressed sometimes transform into guilt, anxiety, or even self-hatred. The mind attacks itself because it cannot find any other outlet. Case studies show that women who carry forbidden desires often feel shame even when they have done nothing wrong. They punish themselves for thoughts they cannot control, believing these thoughts make them unworthy. But the truth is that thoughts are not crimes. They are signals from the unconscious, asking to be understood. The danger grows when society continues to deny this reality. The more a woman is told to silence her inner world, the more divided she becomes. Some may seek secret escapes, affairs, dangerous partners, or reckless choices, because these acts feel like the only way to release the pressure. Others may hide forever, but at the cost of their mental health. In both cases, suppression has poisoned what could have been understood and healed. Nietzsche once wrote that when we fight monsters, we must be careful not to become monsters ourselves. Suppression is such a fight. By denying the inner monster, we give it more power. By pretending it does not exist, we allow it to grow in silence. Only by facing the shadow can the pressure ease. Only by looking at forbidden desire without judgment can a person begin to understand it. Suppression does not protect. It enslaves. The longer it lasts, the louder the shadow will scream. Healing begins not with denial, but with understanding. The shadow cannot be destroyed, because it is part of the human mind. To fight it endlessly is to fight yourself. Jung believed that true wholeness comes when the conscious self and the shadow meet face to face. This does not mean surrendering to every hidden desire. It means seeing those desires clearly, learning what they symbolize, and allowing them to exist without shame. For women who secretly want what they should not, healing is about asking, what does this desire represent? Is it a hunger for freedom? Is it a longing to feel powerful, or to let go of power completely? Is it about escaping judgment, or about reclaiming the parts of themselves that were silenced? When these questions are faced honestly, the desire is no longer a monster in the dark. It becomes a teacher. Psychologists often find that when a person understands the meaning behind a forbidden thought, its grip begins to loosen. The thought no longer rules the mind. It becomes one possibility among many, not a secret chain that drags them into guilt or reckless action. By naming the shadow, a woman takes away its sharpest weapon, silence. Healing also requires compassion. Many women punish themselves for carrying desires they never chose. They forget that the unconscious mind is not a crime scene. It is a mirror of human nature. Freud once said that people are not responsible for what enters their mind, only for how they act upon it. To recognize a forbidden longing is not shameful. To hide from it is what causes pain. Compassion allows space for honesty, and honesty allows space for growth. In practice, this healing can take many forms. Some women find safe expression through art, writing, or private reflection. Others open the conversation with trusted partners or therapists, breaking the silence that gave the shadow its strength. By speaking, by creating, by reflecting, the inner world is no longer divided. The mask and the hidden self begin to merge, forming a person who is more real, more complete, and more free. The lesson is not that women should chase every forbidden desire, nor that they should bury them forever. The lesson is that freedom comes from balance, knowing the shadow, listening to it, and choosing wisely. When a woman understands her inner world, she no longer feels trapped between shame and rebellion. She carries both light and darkness, and in that balance, she finds her power. Every human being has a shadow. Every person carries desires they cannot speak. Healing is not about erasing them, but about learning to walk with them. When the shadow is embraced, it no longer whispers in the night. It stands beside you, silent but seen, a reminder that even in darkness, there is truth.